Years after playing BioShock for the first time, I had forgotten the chills that Rapture gave me. BioShock is not your typical sci-fi game, even by modern day standard. It's quite original, both in setting, lore, and more importantly, presentation. Every scene, every dialogue line is carefully scripted to introduce you into a claustrophobic but colorful nightmare, a still jungle trapped beneath the ocean. The BioShock series is well known for its twist plot-wise. Every one of the three games and the DLC attempt to conjure a narrative meant to surprise you and get you invested in the story. However, out of the three, the first game is still the one that truly stuck with me for all those years, that I'm confident to say that this is really beautiful.
They told me, son, you're special. You were born to do great things. You know what? They were right.
The tale of Jack begins in a sea of fire, with an unopened gift in his hands and a plane going down. He was supposed to travel the Atlantic to visit family, but instead he awakes as the only survivor, drowning in the ocean. A different light beckons to him, like a path had formed around him as the plain tale is still slowly sinking away. Jack's resilience is nothing to shrug at. Even as a silent protagonist, he shows peak mental and physical performance through the entire story. In the BioShock series there are three main protagonists, plus two if you consider the various DLC: Jack, Subject Delta, and Booker. While only the latter is not a silent protagonist and well, Delta cannot speak to begin with, the silent choice in the original BioShock is a direct part of the narration. We are ourselves the protagonist. After all, we are meant to see and experience through Jack's eyes. However, what I'm about to say may sound a bit controversial, but I firmly believe that Jack is not the true protagonist of BioShock. No, the real center of the story is not a person, it's a city, a Rapture. And as we descend through the lighthouse, you can see it slowly unfold and piece together. Rapture, and more importantly his creator, Andrew Ryan. His quest to break free from any form of limitation, both imposed by society and humanity itself, led him to a quest. His essence, his mark is emblematic, omnipresent in anything you can touch in Rapture. The floor, the ceiling, the walls. It's incredibly hard to separate the man from its creation. Art, industry, science, imposing monuments and a carefully scripted poetry are one of the most memorable quotes in gaming.
I am Andrew Ryan, and I'm here to ask you a question. Is a man not entitled to the sweat of his brow? No, says the man in Washington, it belongs to the poor. No, says the man in the Vatican, it belongs to God. No, says the man in Moscow, it belongs to everyone. I rejected those answers. Instead, I chose something different. I chose the impossible. I chose Rapture. City where the artist would not fear the censor, where the scientist would not be bound by petty morality, where the great would not be constrained by the small. And with the sweat of your brow, Rapture can become your city as well.
These are all things that belongs to the first BioShock. Rapture is like an alternative world. It exists as an echo chamber. You can even pretend it doesn't exist because only Rapture matters and those that live in it. We're quickly taught that Rapture isn't your average place. Weakness is a sin. and everyone is a prey. What are you fighting aren't just ragdolls, but things that once upon a time were humans. They aren't in an hallway just waiting for you to argue. They cry, they hunt, they despair. A mother is crying over an empty crib.
Before and none. Why aren't you here? Why is it today and not then when you were warm and sweet? Why can't Mommy hold you to her breast and feel your teeth? Oh, no. No, 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 no.
A carefully scripted moment. Her rant is gut-wrenching, heavy and real, and you can feel her distorted craving for love in the distant echo of her humanity long gone. Splicers were humans after all, who had toyed so much with their DNA to bring themselves to a breaking point, and became abominations, trapped in the game of hunting for more Adam, victims of Rapture's obsession for perfection, left forever scarred both in the body and in the mind. However, even in their deranged moments, splicers can communicate, understand, have relationship, to a degree that still makes them resemble humans.
Get me, my Adam! Charlie, where you going?
They are not some sort of zombie, a mindless human. Each one of them used to be someone with hopes and dreams, and now they are just a nightmare for you and everybody else in Rapture. As you wander Rapture, you can feel familiar with Fallout. It's true that while they are different, they are both types of dystopia. You can see it in the iconic 50s retro styles, the music, the traces all left around us of a world that has, for all means and intent, fallen to pieces. However, while Fallout is a dead world, the decay of Rapture has just begun, and even Jack is but another maggot attempting to nourish himself on the flesh of the city, Adam. There is nothing more precious in Rapture than Adam. It's the key to everything, the raw material required to produce plasmids, and it's a substance unique to Rapture since its discovery. It was harvested by sea slugs at the bottom of the sea. It's a volatile genetic substance of extreme complexity capable of rewriting genetic material, altering the entire genetic makeup of the human body. However, power comes to a cost, like all things. It is ironic that the entire means of Rapture existence, the endless quest for improvement and perfection, became its downfall. Adam is highly addictive, and the production of Adam was never going to be enough to match this endless thirst. And the worst part, Adam kills your cells, like a form of benign cancer, replacing them with unstable stem versions. In essence, Adam doesn't just make you addicted, it destroys what you are and it replaces you with someone else. After our arrival, we are helped by the enigmatic figure of Atlas.
Just a bit further. How do you like that, mister? Now, would you kindly find a crowbar or something? Bloody splicer, seal Johnny in before they... Goddamn splicers.
Who came to our rescue. We learn his deal. All he wants to do is get his family out of that nightmare.
Got a family. I need to get them out of here. But the splicers have cut me off from them. If you can reach them in Neptune's bounty, then maybe, just maybe... I know you must feel like the unluckiest man in the world right now, but you're the only hope I'll ever see my wife and child again. Go to Neptune's bounty. Find my family, please.
He needs our help, and we are in no condition to refuse his either. Our first taste of plasmids comes with a shock.
Steady now. Your genetic code is being rewritten. Just hold on and everything will be fine.
and leaves Jack motionless on the floor. Jack's body is not able to handle it, and just when we are about to be harvested by splicers, reinforcing their endless quest for Adam, however, a bigger predator scares them away.
He popped. Wonder if he's still got some Adam on him. Let's buck. Weak! You're a weak chopper. This little fish ain't worth towing it with no big daddy. Yellow, always have been. You'll be no better off with metal daddy, little fish. See you floating, Almighty.
Look, Mr. Bubbles, it's an angel. I can see light coming from his belly. Wait a minute, he's still breathing. It's all right. I know he'll be an angel soon.
Without doubt, even someone that never played BioShock probably has seen a Big Daddy somewhere before. They are one of the most iconic designs in gaming. Imposing, grotesque, inhuman, their sounds echoing like the cry of a whale. Their mere steps cause the ground to tremble at their passage. Big Daddy also used to be humans, just like everybody else in Rapture. Their story is, however, more sad than Splicers. You see, the Big Daddy is not a suit of armor, he is the suit of armor. Most of them had their skin and organs grafted from the inside, and well, they cannot be removed. Their vocal cords underwent surgery, so they are incapable of human speech anymore. An unearthed heaviness lingers in their movements. The only thing that keeps them alive is their mission, and that one is to protect a little sister. They simply cannot function without them, will just wander aimlessly, sad and pathetic. The grotesque and bizarre presence of the little sisters is equally disturbing. They are like carrion birds. They wander the dead halls of Rapture, claiming the Adam inside the bodies of the dead. Their nature is to seek Adam. They do not have a true will of their own, a primal instinct implanted through relentless mental conditioning. Their role in the story is a key theme, and Jack's action toward them will set the tone for the story. But what exactly are little sisters? You see, the sea slugs carrying Adam were never enough. They were discovered by accident when one of the dock workers was bitten by one of them, and his long, crippled hand was miraculously healed. Dr. Bridget Tenenbaum, the woman responsible for the discovery of Adam, however, figured out something else. Those slugs produce more Adam while inside the stomach of a host. And the little sister, I think you can make the connection yourself. The little sister spares us. She has no interest in the living as long as they do not bother her work. Moreover, a little sister is virtually immune to damage. The only thing that can destroy a little sister is for her to be harvested. The overprotectiveness of the Big Daddies is gonna be a key element. Attacking a little sister or a Big Daddy will cause a sudden shift in the color inside the suit, from yellow to red, and well, red is bad. Even in their deranged minds, splicers experience fear and utter human emotion. It's only when their addiction gets a better hold of their senses that they're left without other choice than to attack Big Daddy unpunished.
Would you kindly lower that weapon for a minute? You think that's a child down there? Don't be fooled. She's a little sister now. Somebody went and turned a sweet baby girl into a monster. Whatever you thought about right and wrong on the surface, well, that don't count for much down in Rapture. Those little sisters, they carry Adam, the genetic material that keeps the wheels of Rapture turning. Everybody wants it, everybody needs it. That's the big daddy. She got his Adam. He keeps her safe.
Our journey through the dark halls of Rapture finally catches the attentions of the city's overlord.
Oh, Christ! You're trapped! Could have tried to override the exit from here.
So tell me, friend, which one of the bitches sent you? The KGB Wolf or the CIA Jackal? Here's the news. Rapture isn't some sunken ship for you to plunder. And Andrew Ryan isn't a giddy socialite who can be slapped around by government muscle. And with that, farewell, or до свидания, Jack.
Andrew Ryan. We are trapped, and Ryan, apparently unaware of who we are or why we are here, believe us to be a spy either from the Russians or the Americans with equal spite, nevertheless. This is a common theme with Ryan, and we are not the first character to suffer this fate over his paranoia and overprotectiveness toward the city. He bid us goodbye, and as an horde of splicers tried to break the containment glass dividing us. Once again, Atlas comes to our rescue, opening a path for us. However, what lies ahead of us is nothing short of dangerous, introducing us to the perils of the automatic defenses of Rapture that can be both used against us or to our advantage. In true capitalist nature, you can pay money to disable alarms. The hacking mechanic is fairly simple as well. It's a minigame where we connect a flowing substance to destination by changing and redirecting the flow with fixed tubes before the fluids hits a blind spot and we take damage. To keep our deal with Atlas and find his family in Neptune's bounty, the largest fishing business district of Rapture, we need to get there. However, the medical pavilion stands in our way, and if you thought that Rapture was bad in the first level, well, this area takes a much darker tone. The medical pavilion, however, was not just a hospital. If you remember in the introduction, we had established that Adam possesses strong healing abilities. So, what use will the Raptor has for a hospital? Well, naturally, just like the city, it's all about seeking perfection, right? No, I'm afraid that it's more complicated than this. If you look at Splicer, what do you see? Beside the derangement in their eyes and their erratic behavior, yes, deformity. The abuse of Adam somehow had to be covered, and that is why the medical pavilion turned into a giant cosmetic surgery freak show. Unlike most of Rapture was torn apart by the civil war between Andrew Ryan and Frank Fontaine, the two most powerful men in Rapture, the medical pavilion was left largely untouched. The only damage that we witness through these halls is the negligence and insanity of the man in charge of this nightmare, Dr. Steinman, a man who will come to know as the Picasso of cosmetic surgery for a reason.
Why do we have two eyes? Is there some law that says we must? Two arms, two legs, two ears, two breasts. I'm not finished!
Through the various diaries left over, we gather bits and pieces of information about the occupants of the medical pavilion and learn with growing anxiety of people.
Today I had lunch with the goddess. Steinman, she said. I'm here to free you from the tyranny of the commonplace. I'm here to show you a new kind of beauty. I asked her, what do you mean, goddess? Symmetry, dear Steinman. It's time we did something about symmetry.
I learned that with the growing anxiety of people, Patients had placed their hopes to hide their deformities and imperfection. The size of this level is nothing to scoff at. It has multiple small secrets for extra loot if you spend enough time to explore. BioShock is not overly generous with ammunitions, especially at the beginning, but also through most of the game, you will periodically switch through your main weapons to cycle through ammunitions. Clever use of plasmids, like shocking enemies when in water or burning them alive when they are in pile of oils, will reward tactical prowess with sparing money and ammunition. In this level, we also unlock 2 more forms of plasmids: Incinerate, which has the power of burning down the frozen ice that bars our way forward, and Telekinesis, a useful power that allows us to reach far objects and even throw back grenades. BioShock limits how many plasmids we can handle at the same time. Naturally, it's based on lore, however, it's merely a minor inconvenience for now, and later Jack will be able to handle more of them anyway. The first real boss of BioShock, if you want to call it this way, it's the overseer of the medical pavilion, Dr. Steinman, who was once described as one of the most brilliant doctors in modern medicine. It was why Andrew Ryan invited him to Rapture. His disappearance left many of his friends and colleagues distressed. Such was the importance of this man in his field of profession. However, even before coming to Rapture, Dr. Steinman was arguably not a normal man, prone to drug use and hallucinations of Aphrodite, the goddess of love, lust, passion, pleasure, beauty, and sexuality. It's clear why a plastic surgeon would be obsessed with the apex of beauty. However, what is unclear to me is how this translates to Picasso, but this is my only critique about Dr. Steinman, because frankly, insanity cannot be fully rationalized. And what is so crushing about Dr. Steinman is that some of the deformed splicers still hold hope to that day that the doctor would make them feel beautiful again. After his arrival in Rapture, he revolutionized what could be achieved with Adam, and his art became one of sculpting the flesh. During his downfall, he would pick patients arrested from the police during the Civil War, even better if they were paralyzed so that he had no need to administer any sedative. He would torture and defile the body of women until their death. This is all around us in the pavilion. BioShock doesn't shy away from leaving bits and pieces of his art for us to see.
What can I do with this one, Aphrodite? She won't stay still! I want to make them beautiful, but they always turn out wrong! That one's too fat! This one's too tall! This one's too symmetrical! And now, what's this goddess? An intruder! He's ugly! 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 Ugly!
When Jack confronts Dr. Steinman, he meets a man deranged, ranting about beauty and complaining that Jack was ugly, imperfect. This is how crazy he is in his quest for symmetry. This battle can be faced in multiple ways. BioShock doesn't shy away from creativity when it comes to combat. You can gun down Steinman and he will run to a healing station to heal. You can hack the station so when he tries to heal it will poison him instead. You can shock him when he's in the water. You can lift a door to stop his bullet and slam him with it. Near the operating table you can set on fire. The grotesque nature of the pavilion really left an impression on me when I was younger. The nature of this level reminded me of that scene from Escape from Los Angeles with the Beverly Hills Surgeon General.
The Surgeon General of Beverly Hills.
These are no good. You couldn't give them away. And this, I can do nothing with this one. Yeah, I'll wheel it away. You heard what the man said. Get rid of it. I can't work with garbage like this. Now these two, they look very good.
After we kill the boss, we find our way through the level. Soon everything becomes clear. For how mighty even a Big Daddy, they're still mortal, and while little sisters cannot be killed, they can be harvested.
It's a little one. Here's your chance to get some Adam. Doctor. He's just looking for a wee bit of Adam. Just enough to get by.
I'll not have him hurt my little ones.
It's okay, lad. It's not a child. Not anymore, it ain't. Dr. Tenenbaum saw to that.
Bitte do not hurt her. Have me no heart.
Aye, that's a pretty sermon coming from the ghoul who cooked up them creatures in the first place. Took fine little girls and turned them into that, didn't you? Listen to me, boyo. You won't survive without the Adam those things are carrying. Are you prepared to trade your life, the lives of my wife and child, for Tenenbaum's little Frankenstein?
Here! There is another one. Use this. Free them from their torment. I will make it to be worth your while. Somehow.
No! 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 Thank you.
The
Thank
path
you
of
for
the
helping
righteous
me.
is not always easy, yes. The reward will become clear in time. Be patient.
Tenenbaum's playing you for a sap. Those things may look like wee little girls, but looks don't make it so. You need all the Adam you can get to survive.
Atlas got us into approaching the little sister to rip the Adam out of her and kill her. He makes a moral appeal. Mercy would be a crime against the survival of many, including Atlas' family. However, we are interrupted by the arrival of Dr. Bridget Tenenbaum, the mother of the little sisters, her maker. She pleads to us to not harvest her, and instead give us another way, a plasmid meant us to allow us to rescue the little sister from their curse. This moral question is much more than a choice. It has tangible differences, as Adam is the main currency that is used to acquire and upgrade our plasmids. In BioShock, plasmids have different orientation. They are spread across levels, and if you do not explore carefully and methodically, you can miss many. Even the little sisters that you can rescue and harvest needs to be found, and each level will tell you how many of them lies there. And you can imagine that this is of course the main source of Adam in the game. However, choosing to spare or not the little sisters have great implication. Will you forsake part of the Adam for their lives? Doing so will alter Jack's tales entirely. Nevertheless, you really can feel the fear of the little sister as she stumbles back. Details like these are remnants of when games still cared about polish and delivery. It feels real, even with all graphics. The choreography is excellent. On our way out, another Big Daddy stands in our way. This time, it's time for a fight. An entire magazine or a machine gun, however, was enough to take him down. And another little sister was liberated. Now it's time to reach Neptune's bounty and rescue Atlas' family. Neptune's bounty was a district of key importance to Rapture, as for a city underwater, the reliance on fishing as primary form of food isn't that bizarre to begin with. However, Neptune bounty became a source of strife when Fontaine Fisheries, one of the main enterprises in the district, became a front for the smuggling operation in Rapture. Naturally, this was unacceptable for Andrew Ryan.
Now you had the pleasure of Andrew Ryan's company. He's the one who built this place, and he's the one who ran it into the ground. Nobody knows exactly what happened. Maybe he went mad. Maybe the power got to him. Maybe he just decided he didn't like people. Whichever way you slice it, good men died. My family's in a submarine hidden in the foundation of Fontaine Fisheries. I'll meet you there.
Who wanted to isolate Rapture from the surface at any cost, eventually decided to put a death penalty for anyone caught smuggling. In the end, a bloody conflict erupted between Ryan's security forces and the smugglers, leading eventually to the Rapture Civil War.
Mr. Ryan asked me personally to make this clear to you. You give us Fontaine and this whole filthy ring again, and you'll be knocking back pints up at the Friday McDonald's. But if you prefer to play the mule, we'll treat you like a mule. Give him a taste, Patrick. What's that? Change of heart, Timmy? Timmy! Ready to talk now?
In stark contrast, Neptune Bounty has a much different gameplay experience compared to the earlier areas. Ammunitions are much more common, medpacks are present but to a lesser degree. Your enemies also receive an upgrade, missile turrets are more frequent, and special splicers will appear more as well, either controlling securities or even setting up turrets to stop you. The difficulty increase is noticeable, especially when fighting big daddies. Taking them head-on can be risky. Planning accordingly will be the key to your survival, and more importantly, to save your resources, because BioShock plays a lot into the survival aspect. In the level, we also have access to more plasmids and powers. The ice allows you to freeze and briefly stun enemies, which can give you a breathing room if necessary. Our arrival in Neptune Bounty set us on the next part of our objective to find Atlas family. However, nothing is that quite easy. We are introduced to a new type of splicer, the spider.
One day, the gentleman stopped calling.
A eerie and terrifying presence, quite agile and much stronger than normal splicers. They can crawl on the walls, quickly drop down and surprise you. They can also juggle their knives at you, so they have a ranged way to engage you.
Atlas radioed on ahead. Says you were looking for an invite to the fisheries. Nuts, I say. But if you heads up to the Warp Master's office and find old Peach on research camera, maybe I could manage an invite. What was that?
Peach Wilkins in the Smuggler Hideout refuses to let us in. Instead, he claimed that we need to help him research the spiders, because frankly they scare the smugglers as well. The camera is a new game mechanic. By aiming at mobs, we can record and build research on them, granting us additional perks. If the mobs are dead, you will have a slight penalty. Usually, our reward will be in the form of extra damage specific against them. Neptune Bounty is not a small area either, and it will require some back and forward to the camera and record all 3 spiders for Wilkins. To deal with them, we are given a grenade launcher. Ammunition, however, are gonna be limited for now, despite this being a very powerful weapon. Among one of the many diaries scattered through the level of a mother looking for her daughter who had been taken.
We saw our Masha today. We barely recognize her. That's her, Sam said. You're crazy, I told him. That thing? That is our Masha? But he was right. She was drawing blood out of a corpse by Fontaine Fisheries. And then when she was done, she walked off hand in hand with one of those awful golems. Masha!
And in this final entry, we discover that the cruel realization that their daughters had become a little sister. Destroyed by grief, she is unable to cope with that reality. Another additional recurring element in BioShock is the power to the people stations. It's your main way to upgrade your weapons. Each one can only be used once, and the choice is permanent. It also changes the appearance of the weapon, which is a cool touch. Peach Wilkins isn't a simple smuggler. There is much to his story. He arrived in Rapture seeking a better life under the promise of Andrew Ryan Great Chain, an ideological form of economy which believed that every member of the economy is part of the same link or the same chain from top to bottom, is part of the same ecosystem.
Something must be done about Fontaine. While I was buying buildings and fish futures, he was cornering the market on genotypes and nucleotide sequences. Rapture is transforming before my eyes. The Great Chain is pulling away from me. Perhaps it's time to give it a tug.
Regardless, shortly after his arrivals, Wilkins was recruited as a smuggler in Fontaine's operation. As Rapture citizens still craved the luxury good that only the outside world could provide, the operation was quite profitable, but it endangered them because Andrew Ryan saw this as an act of betrayal of everything that Rapture was meant to stand for. Wilkins found himself in a difficult position. He was afraid of Andrew Ryan, but his boss Fontaine was a ruthless man who took 80% of the smuggler's cut and threatened to turn in anybody that refused. In reality, those that tried to quit were killed by Fontaine. After the death of Fontaine, Wilkins became oppressed by a permanent sense of paranoia, believing that Fontaine would get him. It's unclear if this came from abuse of Adam, but let's be honest, it's a very strong possibility.
They are weak, but he is strong.
Good. You got the camera. Now get me some snaps on those spider splicers. And don't come back down here till you've got my research.
With our research done, we are finally granted access to the Smuggler hideout, but there is a catch.
The warp rat didn't get himself that. You got something from me and my crew? Or are you just looking to get criticized? You set here a spell. I needs to set on some coffee. Maybe puts on silverware and the like.
Before you head into the fisheries, a word to the wise. Old Peachy seems about as straight as a dog's hind leg. You keep your eyes open.
Wilkins is too paranoid. He wants us to leave our weapons at the entrance. Atlas put us on guard, mentioning that even without our weapons, they will never be able to take away our plasmids.
Now, I bet when your boss wiggled out of hell, he done told the devil he'd be right back. And the devil says, "Sure thing, Mr. Fontaine. I'll hold you a spot." Ryan promised Fontaine was dust, and now here you are doing his dirty. I guess that makes Ryan a bum, and you a... Atlas! He was ours!
And just like a prophecy turned true, Wilkins is too deranged to know better. He believes that we are with Fontaine, and we are somehow. The fight is tricky. There are several enemies, a turret, and even more security to fight us. Wilkins will lob molotovs at us, come too close to him, and he will use a smoke bomb to disappear. Incinerate is a powerful option here, and you can even loot a pistol from one of the killed mobs. One could even go the extra mile and drag a fallen weapon with telekinesis next to the entrance with some ammo to give them an edge if played on higher difficulty. After he's dead, we explore the freezing containment cell and discover the grotesque side of two dead bodies. One of them trying to scratch on the floor the word, "It was Fontaine." We finally reach Atlas' family, but they're still out of our reach until Andrew Ryan threatens us.
You've had your fun, but enough is enough. If you press that button, you'll learn what it means to truly be my enemy.
If we release the bathysphere and we try to escape Rapture, he will make us pay. This is not just a threat, it's a promise. Atlas begs us to release the bathysphere to the controls, and Ryan takes act.
cruise in like an assassin, and then you try to sneak out like a thief. You're no CIA spook. Who are you? Why have you come here? There's two ways to deal with a mystery. Uncover it, or eliminate it.
Atlas is torn by grief and focuses all his pain into his anger, swearing revenge. While Ryan, always the mastermind, starts to realize that we are not a spy. However, like he tells us, there are always two solutions to a mystery. Our next destination is Arcadia.
I came to this place to build the impossible. You came to rob what you could never build. A hum gaping at the gates of Rome. Even the air you breathe is sponged from my account. Well, breathe deep, so later you might remember the taste.
Arcadia is not like anything you will ever see in Rapture. Forget the clustered tunnels filled with crates of Neptune's bounty or the horror corridors of the medical pavilion. Arcadia is a living world, the lungs of Rapture. How the city sustains itself through oxygen. Without Arcadia, there will be no Rapture. Arcadia was a paradise, a large park filled with trees and green scenery, and was especially popular for lovers during St. Valentine's Day. However, that was short-lived even before the Civil War, as Ryan saw a lucrative business opportunity and closed Arcadia down for anyone except paying customers. Even worse, oxygen itself was not given away for free any longer, as Andrew Ryan started to sell the very air people needed to breathe to survive. It is interesting to see how, through the decay of Rapture, much of the unrest and the social issues have been self-inflicted by the founder himself. As usual with everything in Rapture, the trees in Arcadia aren't natural. They have been fed with Adam, like anything in the city. This caused to spur their growth, and Arcadia had quite a few secrets left hidden. For now, however, it is a battleground between splicers and a bizarre cult that is at war with them. Arcadia aims at having a different feeling than the rest of Rapture. It is more rural, more exotic, and the atmosphere is very esoteric. One of the main enemies in Arcadia are the Saturnites, a group of splicing cultists and one of the sadly cut parts of the game. We know very little about them, who they were or how they came to be. However, it's hinted in one of the voice recordings that they could have been a fraternity of college students.
They dress up in leaves and call themselves the Saturnine. Please. They drink human blood and chant, "Harness the flame, harness the mist," and believe they're touched by the ancient gods. An aging bunch of frat boys tilting back goblets of plasmids and calling it ambrosia.
But this was never fully developed. The Saturnites are unique among the splicers, and from now on we will call them Houdinis. Their existence causes other splicers to be weirded out by them, and fears them or downright hate them. They are grotesque and terribly dangerous, and that is a lot considering how normal splicers are. Despite their apparent disconnect from the main story, they are going to be one of the primary challenges here. The Houdinis' attack pattern kinda resemble magic. What they do is teleport and disappear for prolonged periods of time, before suddenly finding them behind you slinging fireballs at you. They deal a lot of damage and they're incredibly dangerous. An advised tactic I discovered was to hug corners, and anti-personal ammunition and shotguns are pretty effective, as Houdini tends to teleport close to you. In Arcadia we also get familiar with a new type of trap, electrical tripwires, and with the right jumping skills they can be employed against our opponents. As we approach the exit of the level, a new predicament stops us.
I'm gonna need you to listen to me. I'm no sort of botanist, but I think Ryan has just killed Arcadia. The man's put something foul into the air. Bottom of the ocean, boyo. All the oxygen comes from the trees. No trees, no oxygen. Give me a spell to think.
Andrew Ryan kept his word. The air we are stealing from him not gonna be given away for free any longer, as he poisoned the entire trees of Arcadia, threatening to destroy much of the oxygen production of Rapture. Just like Dr. Steinman was in charge of the medical pavilion, Dr. Julie Langford is the woman responsible for the development and care of Arcadia. She is introduced to us after Ryan poisoned the trees, as she initially accused us of being responsible for the damage before quickly realizing that only Ryan had the power to destroy Rapture.
My trees! It wasn't you, was it? No. Ryan. I think I've got a way to save the trees. It's a genetic vector that... Oh, look who I'm talking to. Could you find a sample of Rosa Gallica for me? Look in the grotto. I've got to keep working while there's time.
Langford is unique in Rapture, not just because of her genius, but because no apparent abuse of Adam, rendering her quite normal. She serves as a stark contrast to the earlier enemies we faced. She's not just not hostile, we need to help her save the trees and Arcadia as a whole. Before coming to Rapture, Langford was known for her radical theories and even worked for the US government during World War II in projects to defoliate entire forests. Despite her love for plants and passion for her work, she had always been pragmatic, and this is made clear in her realization that it was Ryan that issued her paychecks. And even when he decides to restrict access to Arcadia and sell oxygen, she did not bat an eye. The magnus opus of Dr. Julie Langford was the Lazarus Vector, a chemical concoction that was, in the theory, able to bring back plants to life. It's in this substance that the last hope of Arcadia rests, but nothing is ever so easy, and the blossom of the special plant necessary to create the Lazarus Vector needs to be found by Jack. It's called Rosa Gallica officinalis. A fun fact, this rose is actually a real plant. After we returned to Langford, she gave us access to a laboratory, which is in a walled up section of Arcadia. She tells us to not worry about the turrets because they are under her control, and we are expecting another betrayal. Actually, something else happened.
Julie, we made a business deal, you and I, did we not? Money changed hands. Let me read to you from the agreement. Section 3, subsection 4.
Mr.
Ryan Industries maintains exclusive rights to the creation, use, and exploitation of the Lazarus Vector. Ownership is civilization.
Wait! No! Please!
Without it, that is
Mr.
Ryan's voice booms through the intercom with capitalistic fury. The Lazarus Vector was his, not hers, and for that reason she had to be terminated. This scene is particularly cruel and twisted. We witness Ryan's gas filling the room, and as Julie painfully suffocates, she draws her last strength by painfully writing a series of numbers on the glass before dying. The gas quickly dissipates, but it's only a temporary reprieve. With the formula in our hands from the nearby safe, we need to escape the laboratory, not before, however, retrieving a new little toy. The chemical thrower. It's a very effective area of effect weapon, no pun intended. However, the initial lack of ammunition makes for a poor choice right now, especially since plasmids already exist for elemental effects. Atlas once again guides us toward the farmer market, hoping to find the materials we need to prepare the Lazarus Vector. The farmer market was founded in 1948 and was for all intents and purposes much more than just a place where to do shopping. It was where most of Rapture could buy fresh produce like melons and tomatoes and, more importantly, wine. The layout of the city is quite small. It's filled with small corners, turrets. It's divided mainly in three parts: the winery, the honey production room, and the market stalls. When Andrew Ryan closed down Arcadia, the farmer market remained open because, well, there were money to be made. This level is not quite as grim as the early section of Rapture. Our goal is to retrieve a series of objects, mainly distilled water from the winery and enzymes from the hives. The tricky part is that the bees are quite aggressive, and opening one of their hives is gonna draw their ire. To do this in the main room, we are required to smoke the room to temporarily cause the bees to leave. However, every time we search one of the hives, a group of splicers is gonna appear to hinder our progress. Besides this, I would say that Farmer Market is not really a true level, but just an extension of Arcadia. It's not that memorable. as we return to Arcadia and we craft the Lazarus Vector to dispense in the diffuser, we finally stop the poison that Andrew Ryan spread. However, nothing can be that easy.
It seems Julie's death didn't provide a clear enough lesson to you. Perhaps this will suffice.
Ryan's got your number. No doubt he'll be sending company. Best to head back to the lab entrance and seal her up. Might be the only way to keep the splicers out.
Andrew Ryan is taking the gloves off and we are faced with an onslaught of incoming splicer intent on preventing us from saving Arcadia. The fight will pit us against waves of splicers, including several Houdinis, which are gonna prove themselves extremely annoying, especially when mixed with other splicers, and well, a rosy Big Daddy, because the area is quite small and the fight wasn't supposed to be that easy. Luckily, we have all the means and the tools to handle the mobs, even if this is gonna prove expensive ammo-wise. After what felt like an eternity, it's over.
Well done, lad. Take a deep breath and enjoy it. Then head over to Rolling Hills and get the bathysphere. Next stop is Ryan's house. It's time for blood.
Why are you so resistant to the traditional methods of separating a man from his soul? You're not CIA, are you? You belong to Atlas, the one roach I can't seem to exterminate. Don't worry. I just need time to find the proper poison.
Andrew Ryan finally makes the connection, and it's time to move to the next level.
Welcome to Fort Frolic.
In stark departure from the green scenery of Arcadia, the squalid view of Neptune bounty and the misery of the medical pavilion, Fort Frolic presents itself with neon lights, glamour, luxury, and style. It was one of the most sought-after places in Rapture where eye rollers and shoppers and anyone seeking entertainment and art will visit. Cinemas, strip clubs, casinos, art exhibition, Fort Frolic had it all. It was like a marriage between Las Vegas and Broadway under the sea. However, Fort Frolic was largely untouched by the Rapture Civil War and became something else quite entirely. Unlike previous sections where I separate the character from the level that they are tied to, I'm unable to do this for Fort Frolic.
That's better. Atlas Ryan. Atlas Ryan. Da 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 da. Time-wise, you could get something decent on the radio. The artist has a duty to seduce the ear and delight the spirit. So say goodbye to those two blowhards, and hello to an evening with Sander Cohen.
Our arrivals spring a well-timed trap, but not like the previous ones. No, not at all. Sander Cohen is the ruler of Fort Frolic, a poet, composer, sculptor, and more importantly, psychopath. Fort Frolic is a monument to his sadism and brutality. The statue that you're seeing, they bleed when poked by a bullet, they splash blood. And you can see this work all across Fort Frolic. This character is even a more refined version of Dr. Steinman. He is incredibly lucid. The issue, however, is that his lucidity is hyperfixated on his own insecurity, regrets, and broken dreams. We are cut from the radio contact with Atlas and Ryan. Sander Cohen tests us to see if we are worthy to enter his kingdom. He was one of the most important characters in the circle of Andrew Ryan, as he became a fervent and nearly religious promoter of his ideology, gathering many people to Rapture. He convinced artists and entertainers to embrace this utopia. When Rapture fell to the Civil War, Cohen invited people to seek refuge, promising one last frolic. None of them, however, expected to never be able to leave. Even before the Adam addiction in Descending from Madness, Cohen was not a good person by any stretch of the imagination. Anna Culpepper, a famous musician in Rapture who was all critical of Ryan and Cohen, was killed by Ryan men during the Civil War. Cohen also had 5 apprentices. It is subtly implied that Cohen had a sexual relationship with some of them. Why am I saying this? The disciplines at some point or another ended up disappointing Cohen, but I feel these scenes give more context than my words to it.
Da 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 da! Presto, presto! No, no!
I'm trying. Please.
Once again, young Fitzpatrick.
Da 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 da! No!
Oh God, you sick fuck! Let me out of there!
Come down now, little more. Life, death. The burden of the artist is to capture. See young Fitzpatrick here on the stage. Use your camera. Take him as he is now, so I may remember him. And now you've got Fitzpatrick caught in his moment of glory. It seems you've got the eye of the shutterbug, little moth. Now, head to the atrium and place his photograph in my masterpiece. And so our collaboration commences.
Cohen forced us to take pictures and to kill his disciples, all 4 of them. Wait, didn't you say there were 5? Maybe, but we will not talk about the last one because there are reasons.
You see it? When I am dust, this is what they'll point to. My quad tick. My masterpiece. Go ahead. Don't be afraid. Touch it. Yes, and there's Fitzpatrick, freed of his own kinks. And here's the glorious news. This is just the moment of conception.
Cohen rewards us with a gift for the first picture. The most important item in this level is the crossbow, extremely precise and deadly, especially effective against spiders.
You think you're gonna finish me in here, you old fruit? Yeah, the saps you tossed in this meat locker all panicked like rabbits. I just watched and waited. And when they started to kick, I started to scavenge. Made myself a little splicer cocktail, I did. You can't come in from the cold. You gotta grow ice for your heart. And the Iceman cometh, Sander, baby. The Iceman fucking cometh.
Guess the old grape finally sent someone. Son of a bitch. Left me to freeze. Oh, I've got a pose all picked out for you.
However, as we turn in more pictures, we are finally able to take a peek at the inner insecurity of the artist, who had felt long constricted in his art to please the masses.
It's coming together. Yes. But there will always be doubters. You go down. I could never stomach doubters. And 3 of 4. What's that look? You don't like it, do you? I don't need to be judged by you, by anyone. Screw you! Screw all you fucking doubters! Here's what I say to all of you! Fly away, little moth! Fly!
Cohen has a meltdown. He tried to kill us in a bizarre blood-themed dance. He apologized after our survival. As an artist at art, he was incapable of fully controlling his emotion. After all, he still needs us to create his masterpiece. Without doubt, Cohen is a bizarre character with more depth and backstory than the deranged Dr. Steinman. There is a method behind this madness and not just random carving to seek symmetry. Cohen even give us a final reward and let us live alive. We can choose to attack him, but there is much to unpack about this level. A lot of information about side characters and main characters is given to us. Cohen is clearly infatuated with Ryan, and in a diary he bitterly states that he was looking for an audience that never came.
I could have been the toast of Broadway, the talk of Hollywood, but instead I followed you to this soggy bucket. When you needed my starlight, I illuminated you. But now I rot, waiting for an audience that doesn't ever come. I'm writing something for you, Andrew Ryan. It's a requiem.
We also learn more about Ryan through the diary of Jasmine Jolene, a chorus girl in Sander Cohen Broadway's play. Cohen never gave much attention to her, but due to her beauty she caught the attention of Andrew Ryan, who began to act as her patron, even paying for her classes to become a better artist, and eventually convinced her to come to Rapture. Well, she became Ryan's mistress and she got pregnant. Well,
that creepy Dr. Tenenbaum promised me it wasn't gonna be a real pregnancy. They just take the egg out once Mr. Ryan and I had... Oh, I needed the money so bad. But I know Mr. Ryan's gonna suss it out. Gonna know I wasn't being careful. Gonna know I sold the... Mr. Ryan's gonna be so mad at me.
If Arcadia was the lungs of Rapture, Hephaestus is without doubt the heart. It was the oldest facility built in Rapture, and without it the entire city couldn't exist because, well, it powers Rapture through a complex series of machinery and generators using the heat from geothermal vents beneath the sea floor. During the Civil War, it became a target for the rebels, not only because capturing Hephaestus meant controlling the entire city, but because Andrew Ryan was there. Attempts on his life were made, but to no avail. The constant attacks and the Adam abuse turned Hephaestus' staff against each other. Hephaestus is cleaner than most of Rapture, but that is only on the outside. In this convoluted array of tunnels, our goal is to reach Andrew Ryan's office, but a barrier stands in our way.
A worm looks up and sees the face of God. But look around. It's a regular convention of worms in here. They all had mothers, fathers, people who loved them. They got married, their wives. What makes you think you're any different? I haven't chosen the spot for you on the wall yet. Let me know if you have a preference.
We're welcome to Ryan's worms, traitors, wannabe assassin, and other people he made an example of crucified. We discovered that Kyborgs, the chief supervisor of Hephaestus' energy facility, became fed up with Ryan's extremism and started a plot to kill him. In a dream, he figured out that to reach Ryan's office, he needed to overload the energy core and started to work on a plan. Ironically, at the same time, another assassin, Anya, Anders' daughter,
An assassin. That's rich. I could have gone along, I suppose. Spliced up. Forgot. I believed in this place. I
spill the beans on how to get to Andrew Ryan. Generate a sympathetic overload in harmonic core number 3. That's simple. Now all I gotta do is figure out what the hell a sympathetic overload is, and for that matter, a harmonic core number 3. Piece of cake for an electrical engineer. Too bad I designed ladies' shoes. Gonna go see the grease monkeys left alive in heat loss monitoring. See what I can shake out of their trees.
A grieving mother who had lost her daughter, presumably she was turned to a little sister, managed to find her way into Hephaestus through seduction and cunning, but failed, and we find her impaled among Ryan's worms. Her story and Kyborg's is actually quite tragic. After Anya figured out the information, she tried to sneak into Kyborg's office, but due to the paranoia and possibly Adam, the engineer, believed her to be a spy sent by Ryan himself, and it turned her in. She was killed shortly after, and Kyborgs suffered the same fate.
Ryan's spies are dragging the young woman up right now. I'm certain she's one of Ryan's spies sent to fill me out. I think she is. If I'm wrong, then if it's a girl lined up for Ryan's bloody trophy, well, I test me right. The device is almost finished. I can't get soft now, I can't.
To finish his plan, we need to assemble an electromagnetic pulse bomb made by a bomb casing, nitroglycerin, 4 R-34 lead shield wire stabs from the suits of Big Daddy Corpse, and half can of ion gel. This to me was harder to read. You have no idea how many times I had to re-record this section. This is not by any stretch of the imagination easy, and will require to kill some elite Big Daddies and several strong splicers. Level is also quite big, and it will be a good test for your ammunition reserve. In this level, we witness an advancement in splicer behavior, as they grow smarter, pretending to be dead and waiting for opportunities to attack and surprise us. Hephaestus is gonna be a test for our survival, ammo management, and creativity. After the bomb is completed, our job is not done. We still need to reach the reactor itself, but we can't because it's submerged underneath ocean water. Atlas suggests to open one of the lava gates, and we are facing another defense against mobs. This time is more tactical, as there are only 2 entrances to the generator room. He suggests to prepare a perimeter. How do you do this? Proximity mines are one of the strongest tools in our kit. And with limited space, even the annoying Odinis have a limited breathing room. We blow the MP and rush back to the door, and after contending our lives with more mobs, we finally reach our destination, Andrew Ryan office. Before I delve into the following section, however, I need to take a step back and talk about Andrew Ryan, because otherwise this will not make any sense to you. Andrew Ryan was born in the Russian Empire before the revolution. His family suffered the horror of repression under the Bolshevik purge, and he witnessed the execution of his aunt and uncle. This forever changed the boy, who grew realizing that everything good about the modern world was created by great individuals striving to make their own way. Parasites, when they gained control, they would ruin everything. In 1919, he arrived in America and fell in love with the American way of life. He worked hard using his intellect and willpower to grow a fortune by investing. Soon, he was among the wealthiest men in America, owning Ryan Oil, a large chunk of America's coal, and the country's second largest railroad. Ryan was an extremely individualistic libertarian and despised socialism and any form of collectivism, which had a crime of being used to feed the parasites of society. He considered President Roosevelt and the 1930s social programs the poison of Bolshevism. Ryan himself in the game brings one of the events of his past, where he owned a large forest and a religious group lobbied the government to nationalize it and take it away from him. Rather than give up and give away what he himself believed was rightfully his, he burned the forest to the ground. But it was only when, during World War II, the atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima that he completely renegated on the United States. For him, that was a perversion of science, the corruption of his ideals, and a weapon that would have allowed the parasites to fester and thrive. This is why he created Rapture, It all started from a ship called the Olympian. Ryan used any and all his resources to create his dream, creating companies on the surface to covertly create Rapture. And it worked. No country on Earth could rival with the scientific discovery of Rapture and an economy that was thriving. Rapture essentially brain drained the best of the best across the world to fuel its success with a promise of freedom. However, this period was short-lived. Rapture was born on a lie, after all, by importing the best of the best. Cutthroat businessmen, luminaries, genius. Who was gonna be the underclass? The class system cemented by Ryan's ideals would cause most of the problem in Rapture and push it to the edge, giving opportunities for Ryan's enemy to rise like Fontaine, who cleverly used charity to recruit people to his cause. Andrew Ryan ended up betraying his own ideal in an effort to control Rapture when he nationalized Fontaine Industries. Until then, the idea of a big government declaring victors and losers in the private sectors and taking control and taking away someone's living disgusted him. Well, I would say be careful, there are spoilers ahead. So this is the last chance for you to experience the twist of BioShock for yourself.
In the end, all that matters to me is this. And all that matters to you is you. It's the nature of things. Even in the Book of Lies, sometimes you find truth. There is indeed a season for all things. And now that I see you flesh to flesh and blood to blood, I know I cannot raise my hand against you. But know this, you are my greatest disappointment. Does your master hear me? Atlas, you can kill me, but you will never have my city. My strength is not in steel and fire. That is what the parasites will never understand. A season for all things. A time to live and a time to die. A time to build and a time to destroy! Come now, my child. There is one final thing to discuss.
As we step foot in Ryan's office, it triggers the self-destruct, willing to destroy Rapture rather than give it to Atlas. This is just like the forest, it's a parallel. Ryan considers Atlas his worst enemy. However, Ryan has much more to say to us. For the first time, we witness the man.
The assassin has overcome my final defense, and now he's come to murder me. In the end, what separates a man from a slave? Money? Power? No. A man chooses. A slave obeys. You think you have memories. A farm. A family. An airplane. A crash. And then this place. Was there really a family? Did that airplane crash? Or was it hijacked? Forced down. Forced down by something less than a man, something bred to sleepwalk through life until they are activated by a simple phrase spoken by their kindly master. Was a man sent to kill or a slave? A man chooses. A slave obeys. Come in. Stop, would you kindly? Would you kindly? Powerful phrase. Familiar phrase.
Would you kindly? Would you kindly get this? Would you kindly find that? Would you kindly find that? Would you kindly find it? Would you kindly get this? Would you kindly head to Ryan's office and kill the son of a bitch?
Sit, would you kindly? Stand! Would you kindly? Run! Stop! Turn. A man chooses. A slave obeys. Kill! A man chooses! A slave obeys! Obey!
It was all a ruse and a very well-planned deed, us, a pawn, bred and trained to seek at the throat of our father. But Andrew doesn't use his power to kill Jack. Was it affection? Mercy? Andrew Ryan killed Jack's mother, his mistress, because she betrayed him. She had sold the fetus she carried to someone with the aid of Dr. Bridget Tenenbaum. Atlas' betrayal is even more concerning. In a ruthless and iconic scene, we murder Ryan, our father, slowly, painfully following his commands, as he kept repeating the word slave or a man. This is how the great Andrew Ryan ended in a pool of blood at the hands of his own son. Just like he saw his family executed as a child, for Ryan, Jack would bear a much more dramatic scene. As we insert the genetic key, giving de facto Atlas control of Rapture, we are in for another revelation.
Nice work by all. It's time to end this little masquerade. There ain't no Atlas kid. Never was. Selling my line of work takes on a variety of aliases. Hell, once I was even a Chinaman for 6 months. You've been a swan, so I guess I owe you a little honesty. The name's Frank Fonte. I gotta say, I had a lot of business partners in my life, but you, of course, the fact that you are genetically conditioned to bark like a cocker spaniel when I said, would you kindly, might have had something to do with it, but still, as soon as that machine finishes processing the genetic key you just fished off Ryan, I'm gonna run Rapture tits to toes. You got a pal, you know what they say, never mix business with friendship. Thanks for everything, kid.
There is a lot to say about the questionable figure of Atlas and more of its real identity, Frank Fontaine. One of the most powerful men in Rapture and Andrews Ryan arch-nemesis. An orphan from early age, he escaped the confines of the orphan trophy he lived in and managed to become a stage boy in a theater, learning the tricks of the trade and how to swindle people. He raced through his life by conning people, changing aliases, but Frank was always his real name. He eventually learned of Andrew Ryan's operation and after pretending to be an FBI agent, got the information about the city's construction from one of the workers. Frank was not done, however. Using his connection to the FBI agent, he managed to lure and kill the original Frank Fontaine, assuming his identity and stealing his fishing operation. You got that right. Even when we talk about Fontaine, that's not him. It's just Frank, a conman. Frank used all his charisma and started work on Andrew Ryan, buying his way into Rapture through flattery. Every fish delivery would come with love letters of admiration for Andrew Ryan's work. He was ready to exploit this new society for every cent he could. He started the largest smuggling operation in Rapture. He built a fake charity meant to turn orphans girls into little sisters. Fontaines was a master manipulator, just as bad as Ryan, if not worse. Without any ideal, empty inside, just craving more and more. But people loved him because he pretended to care. When Ryan had enough of him, he faked his death and transformed himself in Atlas, an humble fisherman, a family man, and a hero of the people. His voice now pregnant with an heavy Irish accent to add extra charm. He rallied the masses disillusioned by what Rapture had become, and through this discontent, set the stage for the civil war that tore the city apart.
They finally brought me to Atlas. Without him, the people of Palo Square would give up. I asked him if he was going to lead the people in some kind of uprising against Ryan. He sighed and said, I am not a liberator. Liberators do not exist. These people will liberate themselves. I thought Andrew Ryan was a great man. I was a fool.
Indeed it is that without Atlas or Frank, things in Rapture would have never got so bad. And he is the true antagonist of BioShock, the true man behind the plan. He is vicious, carefully written, and the perfect antithesis for Ryan. Both are flawed men, one blinded by idealism and the other able to see but unable to understand the emptiness inside of him. With the help from the Little Sisters, we escape the death trap laid by Atlas and his security drones. We fall and we awaken in a refuge filled with Little Sisters. Depending on our previous actions regarding harvesting or saving the sisters, our welcome is gonna receive a different tone, from very welcoming to harsher and colder to confusion, and as Dr. Tenenbaum tried to understand Jack's behavior if he killed and saved a similar number of Little Sisters. Some time has passed since our collapse, and Tenenbaum reveals that she had removed most of the mental conditioning that Fontaine had placed on Jack. Would you kindly? But unfortunately, we are not free yet. Our hope for salvation is in Dr. Suchong's apartment. There is a lot to say about Dr. Suchong. Unfortunately, doing so will deliver massive spoilers for other BioShock games, and that goes outside the scope of this video. What I can tell you about Suchong was that he was one of the maximum genetic experts in Rapture and was the man responsible for the conditioning process that Little Sisters and Big Daddies and even Jack were imprinted. He worked directly for Frank Fontaine and showed a strong disdain for the Little Sister, despite them calling him Papa Suchong with affection. As we step out of the refuge, Frank pulls a mace out of his sleeves.
And now you've got hooked up with Tenenbaum, huh, kid? She's a regular mother goose. Alright, fun's fun, kid. But now, go get stepped on by a big daddy. Would you kindly? Huh? I says, would you kindly go get stepped on by a big daddy? Seems like Mother Goose has been playing around in your egg salad. If you won't dance to that tune, I got others. Code Yellow. I just told your brain to tell your heart to stop beating. Not right off the bat, mind you. The heart's a stubborn muscle, but it ain't that stubborn.
Olympus Heights was a place reserved for the upper class of Rapture. This is evident by the size of the largest streets. and has some of the most established apartment building in all Rapture, like Mercury Suites and Athena's Glory. During the Rapture Civil War, this area became a war zone as rebels from the nearby Apollo Square poured in from the tram's tunnels and attempted to invade, leaving the area a broken mess. This level is quite straightforward, it doesn't have many surprises in store. One striking scene that is easily missable in BioShock is the scene where a family of 5 rest on a set of couches, children included. Much likely they choose to go on their way out quietly with poison rather than suffer the madness of Rapture. After we navigate the way up to the Mercury Suites and Suchong apartment, we retrieve the cure. However, it's incomplete. While it lifts some of the debuff caused by Frank, it burned us with the sudden inability to choose our plasmids as our body is in an unstable state. Apollo Square is a testament to the wounds of Rapture. It was the cradle of Atlas rebellion and one of the main staging points where the civil war in Rapture happened. Pictures of missing people cover any possible surface you can imagine: walls, cars, boards. Many people used to live in Apollo Square, and Fontaine did not choose this place randomly. Here, 2 major institutions were founded: Fontaine House for the Poor, which later became Atlas Revolutionary Headquarters, and the Little Sister Orphanage. How those 2 elements tie in? Well, Fontaine's main empire in Rapture was not smugglery or fishery, but plasmids, and Little Sisters are central to that. After Atlas and his followers caused a wave of violence, Ryan ordered the city security forces to go after Atlas, his men, and anyone linked with the revolution. However, the situation got worse, and after 1958, the New Year's Eve riot, many people died in the chaos. To stop Atlas followers and bring back order, Ryan introduced new laws, banning public gathering, set a curfew, and declared martial law. As Ryan began arresting Atlas supporters and other lawbreakers, much of Apollo Square was sealed off to keep them contained and protect the rest of the city. Our goal is to traverse Apollo Square and retrieve the second dose of the antidote, and we end up discovering the fate of our good doctor.
Clinical trial protector system, plasmid lot 255. Dr. Suchong. Client Ryan Industries. Very frustrating day. I can't seem to get the damn big daddies to imprint on the little brats. The protection bond is just not forming.
Papa Suchong?
Get away. Maybe if I modify the genetic sequence... Shush! Sure! The sequence to allow for... Get away, you filthy little shit!
Finally free, it's time to traverse on the other side of the square toward Atlas headquarters and take an elevator to our next area, Point Prometheus.
You broke the spell!
But laying all your chips on Mother Goose, it's not like you never been double-crossed before. You know what I'm saying? Off at the Point Prometheus. We'll discuss this like men. You, me, the submarine topside, and more at it than you could possibly imagine.
We arrive hot on the trail of Atlas. More concerningly is the ranged with power.
Alright, you looking to slug it out? I'm game. But I got all the atom in the city, pal, and I ain't shy about you. Now, I'm Jake to take her out for a spin.
What is this you wait for? Go and get this idiot!
For someone that has lived through the event in Rapture, and his intellect, the lack of foresight for the side effect of Atlas are far too evident. But Atlas' pride leads him to his downfall. I could clearly believe Atlas believed himself to be better than everyone else, finally defeating Ryan, so maybe this is why he started to abuse Adam. After experiencing a very annoying bug that causes Atlas to get stuck behind a glass door if you chase him too far, we catch up with him in Point Prometheus, but once again he gets beyond our reach. To chase him any further, we will need to become creative, very creative, by cosplaying as a Big Daddy. Yes, this level is also fairly large, so expect a lot of back and forward to collect all the pieces of the suit necessary, including the mandatory throat operation. The sound of a Big Daddy as you move is unsettling because it causes me to think there is always one nearby. The full suit also gives us a nice 25 damage reduction, which is amazing. Point Prometheus is not just a laboratory. No, it was the main and most important genetic center in Rapture, focused on the development of genetic modification and plasmids. It's also where the creation and bonding of Big Daddies and Little Sisters happened. Much of the Point Prometheus was run by Dr. Yi Suchong under the management of Frank Fontaine, and later, after his death, Andrew Ryan nationalized Fontaine Futuristic, taking over Point Prometheus. During the first weeks of the Civil War, the rebels invaded the center and Dr. Suchong relocated his operation in Apollo Square. Yes, the place we found him penetrated by a Big Daddy. After the rebels had been wiped out by Point Prometheus, the facility became one of the few remaining establishments to engineer Adam products in the city. Fights in Point Prometheus do not offer anything special compared to Apollo Square. However, the small corridors and the abundance of security can cause problems for the unprepared. A little fun fact, the Mendel Memorial Research Library in this research station is an Easter egg about Gregor Mendel, who is considered to be the father of modern genetics. Once suited up, we bang on a vent and summon a little sister. It's time to dwell into the proving grounds. Before the Civil War and the creation of Big Daddies and Little Sisters, Point Prometheus had an entire section dedicated to a museum for sea life. We can still observe fossils and other artifacts through the ruined halls. It's a perfect monument to the decay of Rapture, something that was originally meant to be a place for knowledge and a celebration of the origin of the city, was quickly scrapped in favor of brutal evolution. You see, the conditioning of Little Sisters and the bond with Big Daddies is not perfect. It has to be tested. And due to the proximity to the Genetic Development Center, the memorial was the perfect location for it. It was converted into a death trap, a training area, and one where Jack will have to come across while escorting a little sister. However, there is a problem that the child has been deprived of the slug inside of her, so she's not immortal. Protecting her is gonna be the key to our progress, but it's easier said than done, as only a little sister can open our path forward. Also, I would like to point out that BioShock was one of the few games that didn't shy away from killing children. So, yeah, do not let that little kid die, please. The complex is topped with a dome, and the tower at the west end is the tallest structure in Rapture, and a place where our final confrontation with Fontaine will take place. A rogue Big Daddy stands in our way, breaking through a wall to stop us. It's hard to say what his motivation truly was, if it was during the trials we were always meant to fight a Big Daddy, or if he became crazy from losing his little sister, or it's another tool employed by Fontaine against us. Through the event, Fontaine taunted us with a mixture of seeming regret and threats. He's a conman, and he telling us what Jack would want to hear. That he taught us as a son isn't surprising. However, Fontaine is also mad with power.
Don't know what I was thinking. Never spliced up once the whole time I was down here in this aquarium. Figured it was bad to mix business with pleasure, but forget all the nose candy and floor polish I've been wasting time with. This stuff is the mother's milk. Huh? That might be plenty for the working scrubs and the pencil pushers, but I need more. More! I want to splice till there ain't nothing left to splice with!
And he's drawing insane amounts of atoms inside of him. BioShock is not your typical game. It doesn't treat boss battles as an arena with a giant bar to chip down through phases. Most of the encounters in these games are designed in an atypical way, from the more traditional Dr. Steinman to Wilkins and his grenade ambush while we are disarmed. Some levels also do not present major confrontation with bosses, but try to deliver a somewhat different experience more focused on resource management and survival by mixing and matching enemies in different locations with punishing trap placement to keep you on your toes and rewarding exploration. The final boss of BioShock could be considered the real true boss of the game because it follows a set pattern that many games employed before. As we ascend the tower, we are given our weapon, an Adam harvesting syringe from the little sister who escorted. It's the only way to stop Fontaine before he becomes too powerful. His transition is nothing short of staggering.
I remember when me and the crowd put you in that sub. You were no more than 2. You were my ace in the hole. But you were also the closest thing I ever had to a son. And that's why this hurts. Betrayal, kid. Life ain't strictly business.
His skin has darkened, his physique is much similar to one of the statues of Rapture. Even his design has a feeling of Ryan, it's quite uncanny. The point of ascending a tower to confront someone that is someone coming close to become a god is also not missed on me. It's all a tie-in of common mythology tropes. My first impact was it would look like someone attempted to become a Greek god, surpass his own humanity, to become what Ryan failed to become, you know? What surprised me about Fontaine is that his derangement was much less impactful than I expected. He's coherent, motivated, strong, and fairly lucid. You can hardly tell that he has drawbacks from his Adam injection, which gives me an idea that maybe the effects of Adam are truly case by case and maybe someone with enough will could tame these effects. Then my mind went back and I realized Andrew Ryan never used Adam, didn't he? F. Fontaine was the clear opposite of Ryan. Think about it. If Ryan wanted to get drunk with power and Adam, he could have done so a long time ago, but he never did. In fact, I believe Ryan would have probably despised Adam and the dependence that would cause people, because his main ideology was about the triumph of human will, and Fontaine, well, was a man that saw everything as a mean to an end. Fontaine battle follows a set of elemental phases. He relies on plasmids to destroy us fire, ice, and lightning. Each time we deal enough damage, he goes back to recover Adam and is left vulnerable while we extract him. Security and Splicer will be summoned to defeat us as well. However, as we approach the end, he overpowers us.
I had you built! I sent you topside! I called you back, showed you what you was capable of! Even that life you thought you had, that was something I dreamed up and had tattooed inside your head! Now if you don't call that family, I don't know what is! And now...
It's quite poetic that in the end, like Suchong did, Ryan and now Fontaine all died at the end of their creations. Don't forget, Fontaine was instrumental in the creation of the Little Sisters and the development of plasmids. It was another element that caused much friction with Ryan, who grew to despise the effect of Adam on the people of Rapture. BioShock is not an RPG. Our character Jack is a silent protagonist. This is largely unimpactful on the narration in the way they structured the game. I would have loved to have an RPG set into a dystopian world like BioShock. However, this isn't a topic for today. Despite the conditioning, we have a choice in front of us through the game to harvest or not, or both. In the end, our decision regarding the Little Sisters take us somewhere regardless of what we want. In the good canon ending, Jack rescued most of the Little Sisters and refused the gift of the city made to him. Instead, decided to return to the surface, leaving behind the horror of raptors, overcoming the addiction of Adam. The final reward is a good life with a family. The neutral ending and the bad ending are very similar. Jack fell to the addiction of Adam. In the neutral is hinted of him being a splicer, and well, the bad ending is pretty much Rapture 2.0 but worldwide. I find this a bit disappointing because if I were to choose an evil ending for Jack, why does it have to escalate in World War Splicer? Why not him taking over Rapture as a dictator and living like a king? All the Adam is there, why invading the surface? But it's clear that the devs meant for us to go good, and well, killing children is a big no-no. The BioShock series went through a certain evolution. Gameplay became more refined through every iteration. BioShock was more of a survival game. Ammo, Adam, and kids are scarce and reward ethical decision. The atmosphere is very threatening, and those lack of resources, especially in early leveling, can scare people. BioShock 2 toned down the survival aspect a little bit and made the gameplay more fluid, no more switching between plasmids and shooting, as well as improving hacking and, well, taking pictures. BioShock Infinite took steps further away from the first two games, in a direction that I personally didn't like. Ammunition types got removed, only 2 weapons at the time. Hacking got removed, and those are just some examples. It's been years since I played Infinite, so I do not want to dwell too hard on my memories about that game. But what I do remember pretty well is the presentation and the story. BioShock 2 is a very good game because it's incredibly similar to the original and carries quality of life upgrades that should not be discounted with the all this good mantra. The story of BioShock 2 is also very in lore with Rapture and deals with major characters that, while they were not mentioned in the original game, Sophia Lambs and August Sinclair felt like they were part of Rapture all along, just swept underneath the boot of Andrew Ryan like most people. BioShock Infinite story is a mess. I'm not afraid to say this, it's very contrived, and this doesn't mean that it's bad. What I mean is that while the foreshadowing in the first 2 games was grounded, better, you could slowly unravel the mystery as you came through audio logs, paying attention to dialogue. In Infinite, due to the scope of the series, foreshadowing is present indeed, but due to the nature of the story, the details, which has otherworldly implication, it felt too broad, and the crumbs and pieces were just to say, hey, it all ties in. Well, at least in my opinion. Also, when you play with reality, it cheapens the story for me. So why is BioShock a masterpiece? BioShock came out in 2008, and I assure you it was quite the milestone in gaming. It wasn't your usual FPS or your usual story. It was unique for the way it handled certain dark themes such as exploitation of children and the effect of addiction. Gameplay-wise, I'm sure you can point out that this game doesn't have many proper boss battles, or that it doesn't embrace a form of open world openness. However, BioShock isn't a mindless shooter. It presents a rising level of challenge. Each fight has multiple possible strategies that can rely on environment, different powers, giving thus a lot of player agency. This is more than I can say for most games nowadays. BioShock embraces exploration in a more focused and narrow way, while adding additional element of progression without feeling too repetitive or overwhelming. Our progression is not tied to fetch quest or long backtracking except for a couple of levels, and even when we move back and forward through areas, it tries to shake things a little bit. Enemies will surprise you, sometimes acting oddly, placing turrets that were not there, or new patrols emerge to ambush you. Despite the self-imposed limitation of the lore on possible enemies, BioShock features 10 mobs enemy type, including bosses, and 12 if we consider the elite versions of Big Daddies, even if they are the same base variant. Each enemy has a different toolkit, voice lines and behavior, providing a different level of confrontation. As in your first adventure in Rapture, you will never know which type of enemy you will come to face. You need to be prepared for sudden challenges. The level design is top-notch in most of the areas. They aren't just straight corridors that go to point A or B, and deliver a level of presentation that has a lot of variety depending on the level and attention to detail, which is rare in most games these days. With 7 unique weapons and several variants of ammo, no, I'm not counting the camera, BioShock has a good weapon variety. Each tool serves as a different purpose and feels different. Shotgun to deal heavy damage at short range and quickly dispatch enemies. Pistol, a cheap weapon for resource management and decent for medium range. The machine gun to quickly dispatch large amount of enemies. The grenade launcher, an all-purpose weapon that, depending on the ammunition, can either lay mines, grenades, or even heat-seeking missiles. The chemical thrower with unique elemental effect based on the ammunition, napalm for fire, nitrogen for freeze, and electric gel for shocking, and the crossbow, the best long-range weapon in the game. Beside weapons, you also have the plasmids that offer a great variety. You have 11 combat in total, each with a distinct benefit and weakness. Not all of them are about damage and serve to provide further tactical tools for battles. You can control enemies, you can cause enemies to eat each other, you can cause a big daddy to fight for you, you can cause security to fight for you. Everything is very open to the way that you can interact with fights. From fire to ice to swarm of beasts that chase down enemies. You have a lot of options. However, the crowning achievement of BioShock isn't the combat, but the story and the delivery. It is what helps to elevate this game to a masterpiece, and none of the BioShock sequel managed to achieve the same level of grounded intrigue and chilling moment that this game have. They improved in other areas without doubt, but the story of Rapture, of Andrew Ryan and Jack, is BioShock 1. The game thrives thanks to his clever foreshadowing. Crumbs and pieces are left across the game. They are harder to spot, and they will require you to pay attention. And the game guards this secret very tightly to prevent you from making connection too early and spoil yourself from the twist. I had to alter the way that I talked about certain events and things to not spoil the twist too early in this retrospective. Exploring Rapture is an experience that I suggest someone to do at least once. Few games can deliver a sense of oppression and dystopia as the original BioShock did. It is also interesting that BioShock came this by an accident. It was supposed to take place in a spaceship, and I'm really glad that it didn't. While System Shock is another incredible good series which leans more into horror, a spaceship is not as unique as Rapture. I remember playing BioShock Infinite and seeing the sequence as you ascend to the sky and thought they really want to recapture that Rapture magic, but couldn't. However, can you blame them? There is something too unique about a city under the ocean. A sky can evoke a sense of freedom as you stare in the horizon, and staring down can give you vertigo. But beneath the ocean, you are trapped. Only a tiny glass that could come apart at any moment is keeping you alive. You cannot stare in the horizon because all you can see is the abyss. It's really impressive when you see that whale swimming through the skyscrapers. There is a saying, a game is only as good as the first 5 minutes. Nailing presentation sets the tone for a game. There are naturally exceptions to this, like A Realm Reborn and Evanswords, or Stormblood and Shadowbringers, or Endworker and Dawntrail. No, just no. BioShock is a relic from a time past, and since then the type of design is long gone. Even the idea of having health packs has been long abandoned by the industry in favor of regeneration. However, to me, all of this is secondary. What matters is the experience, and overall, in my opinion, very few games are as well crafted as the original BioShock. Thank you for watching my rambling. If you got this far, please leave a like and let me know why you liked BioShock in the comments. Remember to subscribe if you didn't, and I will see you next time.